It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the greatest sitcom ever made. I'm not just saying that to be dramatic, I really mean it. The quality in the writing and performances have given us some of the most legendary moments of comedy.
Oh, whoops, oh! I dropped my monster condom that I used for my Magnum Dong.
Newsflash, asshole! I've been hearing it the entire goddamn time! Then why would you say something? Because I hate you!
Even if you've never seen this show before, you've no doubt seen the memes and references sprinkled across the internet. Even though the show is overall perfect in my opinion, not all episodes within this show were created with equal greatness. So let's find out what episode is the greatest by ranking every episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's so weird seeing these old episodes again. The spirit of the show is here, but it's not as refined as the Sunny we all know and love. Like, for example, Sweet D is actually kinda sweet here, and the guys are way nicer to her. The gang are at their best when they're being the worst kind of friends to each other. So to hear Dee saying that she loves these guys is super weird.
You know, I love you guys very much. Sometimes you're not that cool.
Not cool.
Try to be cool.
Okay, we'll try.
Having said that, when it comes to making a work of art, you gotta start somewhere, and this is their start. So, what happens in the first episode? Well, the gang gets racist. Really starting out with a bold episode title here. Dee's new friend walks into the bar, and the rest of the gang mistake him for a person looking for trouble. When they realise the social faux pas they just committed, they act super uncomfortable and awkward.
You know, we weren't expecting you.
We weren't expecting you to be black, that's all.
Right.
They set aside that awkward moment to bond over some drinks, where they realise that Tyrell was the kind of guy who can draw in more customers to the bar.
You had 400 people packed into a place?
You damn right I got 400, that's my job, man.
The next morning, the guys go out to grab some coffee and to share their thoughts on Tyrell and his stories of packing out clubs and bars. In this conversation, I completely forgot that Charlie drops an N-bomb.
You heard him. When he's promoting, everybody named Mama's looking to get in. That's true. They do have hanging from rafters.
Wow. Nice.
By the way, you're going to be seeing this waitress a lot throughout the show, because Charlie is obsessively in love with her.
What are you doing walking here? Is this one of your walking places?
Charlie, I'm Mace.
Oh my God.
They hire Tyrell as a promoter, and the results are immediate, with the bar being packed out on the first night. The gang pick up on some unusual vibes, however, noticing a lack of women, and the customers only want to be served by Dennis.
You have the most beautiful eyes.
Okay, man, but I'm... Really?
So blue.
Really more of a blue-green, actually.
Dennis is by far the most vain person in the gang, and it's awesome to see they establish this from the very first episode. The gang becomes split between those excited about the money coming in and those who don't really want to run a gay bar.
No goddamn way. Have you guys seen this? Looking for that new hotspot to spot that stud? Well, Patty's Irish Pub has plugged that hole.
That's a nice notice.
It's not bad.
No, it's not a nice notice. I don't want to be plugging anybody's holes.
Mac being the most vocally against it only becomes funnier if you've seen him later in the series. Dennis gets too deep in the act, relishing from the attention.
Boys are out tonight, huh?
So Dee comes up with the idea to get her theatre friends to pretend to sleep with him, after Mac gets him blackout drunk. So when he wakes up, he'll think he's gone full gay.
Hello, lover.
Whoa!
A plan which seems to work out, but then Dee reveals that her friends didn't want to help. So whoever this guy was, he wasn't acting.
How's that ass feeling?
Pilot episodes are always a little rough, but this was a solid start. And obviously it goes in the #1 spot for now, but don't expect it to stay there very long. Charlie's approached by an ex-lover, and she reveals that he has a 10-year-old son. A son who's a total a-hole.
Which one of you fags supposed to be my dad?
Whoa, hello, right off the bat with the...
Kudos to this child actor. He did a great job at being unlikable.
Come on, this place sucks. I want to go to the mall.
No, well, we can't go to the mall, right? So give me...
Shut up! I'm the boss of you. You're not the boss of me. I am the boss of you. I want to go to the mall.
The gang are once again split on their opinions, as this situation has brought up the topic of abortion, with Mac being pro-life and Dee being pro-choice. Mac goes to a pro-life campaign centre, looking to get some reading material that supports his argument. But he stops caring about this plan when he spots an attractive woman working there.
Let me tell you something, Megan. I hate dead baby fetuses. You know, I hate them because they're dead and they shouldn't be.
Charlie spots the waitress at the mall and pretends to be in the same program as she is, helping out orphan children or something. She's impressed by his lies and agrees to go with him to an event for the kids. The ex-lover then admits that the kid isn't really his. She was just looking for a reliable man to be in his life. I don't think picking Charlie Kelly would be the right move here.
I start thinking, you know, and it makes me so angry.
He insists on taking the kid anyway, as this is his chance to hang out with the waitress. Meanwhile, Dennis goes to the pro-choice side of a local protest, solely on the idea that there will be tons of women here for him to hit on. It doesn't go too well, so he hops the fence to try his luck on the opposing side. But they see this as an attack and start pelting him with eggs, initiating a full-on egg war between both sides. On the pro-life side of the fence, Mac and his girl are very keen to keep their hot dates going, but then she tests his loyalty to the cause by saying that she's pregnant.
You gotta get an abortion! Wait a second,
While they wait for the waitress to pick them up, the kid gets drunk while Charlie's back was turned. The waitress unfortunately sees this, and his one and only chance is blown. Funnily enough, as I'm sure many of you know, Charlie Day and Mary Elizabeth Ellis were dating during the early seasons of the show and eventually got married.
Mary Elizabeth, we have been together for 20 long years. Wonderful years.
This episode has kind of a weak ending, with Charlie confronting the actual dad, only for him to turn out to be just as immature as the kid.
Your kid has serious emotional problems.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you're not there for him as a father?
Why?
Are you kidding me?
Why?
Listen to it again?
Why?
Out of these two, I find the pilot slightly funnier and more memorable, but there's not much in it. These decisions won't be too controversial for now, but trust me, I am fully expecting some angry comments when we head towards the peak episodes of the show. The bar is heaving, and the gang quickly realise it's because most of the people here are kids.
Hey, you! How old are you?
21.
Everybody out!
Their first instinct is to never let it happen again, but then Mac comes up with a proposition that they become a safe haven for underage drinking, rather than having these kids drink on the streets. Of course making sure to take measures so their drinking doesn't get out of control, and they can make maximum profit while doing so.
Listen, we water down the drinks, jack up the
Oh,
prices,
Mike,
where I can
come
make
on.
a serious profit off these kids.
And they have no idea what the hell's going on.
This marks the start of the gang's wildly unethical plans that are a major part of this show's comedic appeal. Dee gets hit on by one of the school kids, and she's so flattered to feel like she still got it that she plays along with it, going on a date in the cool kids' hangout spot and getting wasted to deal with the guilt of what she's doing. She doesn't go through with anything physical though, and we get this funny moment of realisation.
We're so sweet. Where were you when I was in high school?
I was 8.
Right. Yeah.
Dennis isn't in the clear either, because even though the girl hitting on him is 18, he still feels conflicted about their age gap.
So if you're looking for the ride of your life, give me a call.
God damn it.
The gang gets invited to a heavy party, where they get pressured into buying their booze. Oh, we thought you guys were cool. If you were cool guys, you would buy us booze and stuff. Everyone apart from Mac gets invited to the prom, and he's low-key jealous of that. Even though he really shouldn't be. Dennis gets blackmailed into going, threatening that if he doesn't, she'll tell the police about the underage drinking situation. It turns out that these school kids were just using the gang to make their crushes jealous.
They were actually using you two to make each other jealous.
Yeah, and I always knew that they wind up together because they're like so perfect for each other.
Shut up, Charlie!
The ending is strangely emotional, as we see that Charlie didn't have any romantic interest in these girls, thank God. He just wanted to be part of their friendship circle. It felt good to feel young again, and the episode is played out by the song Forever Young. This episode feels like the classic format for what makes this show so iconic, so it's going to take over the #1 slot for now. Charlie's all bummed out because he has cancer, but Dennis only came here to get a basketball, so he doesn't really have time for Charlie right now.
It's just that Mac and Sweet Deer are down in the car. They're waiting for me. I told them I'd just zip in and zip out.
Yeah, even though the gang are best friends, like I said before, they're the worst kind of friends imaginable. Charlie asks that he keeps this news to himself, so of course he immediately tells the others, and they come up with a plan to get him laid, so he can die happy. Later that evening, Mac spots someone with potential, but Dennis and Dee point out the suspicious bulge in her pants. Alright, so as it's staring us in the face, we've got to quickly address it. The show in its early days refers to this character as the tranny. This isn't my choice of terminology, and me saying the word there as a point of reference will be the only time you ever hear me use it. And the showrunners eventually move on from it and start to refer to her as Carmen. Mac is still interested in her because she gives him compliments all the time.
Please, I've seen you at the gym. You're ripped.
No, don't turn this around. Wait. Really? You think so?
And there's a funny scene where Dennis catches them watching a game together, and Mac can't help but catch a glance at her prominent bulge when she stands up.
So I'll see you tonight? I'll pick you up at 8.
Cool.
He explains that he's playing the long game, as she has surgery planned to chop it off. This is the first episode featuring Artemis, an eccentric wannabe actress who has an insanely high sex drive and very low standards.
Got any bacon bits? We like to put them in Artemis's hair, and they rain down on me when we bang.
I feel like a Cobb salad.
She auditions for a job at the bar, seeing as how they're going to be short-staffed when Charlie dies. With her theatrical background, she goes for a Coyote Ugly type thing.
Shake it, shake it, shake it.
It's pretty gross. Realising that Charlie only has eyes for the waitress, they pay her some money to sleep with him. But she's more interested in Dennis, so she bangs him. As it turns out though, Charlie isn't dying of cancer. He just wanted the waitress to care about him.
Here's the thing though, about cancer. I don't have it.
What?
Hey, Avenged Sevenfold. Nice. One more highlight of this episode is the montage of Mac and Carmen going on dates, and he arches his pelvis away during the kiss, so he doesn't rub against her junk. Decent episode, but not quite as good as underage drinking. I gotta be honest, I forgot this episode exists. The bar gets robbed, so the gang buy a gun for protection. Charlie's initially not that interested, but as soon as he holds the gun fever takes over. The highlight of this being when his landlord comes knocking, once again pestering Charlie for rent. But then Charlie stretches in a way that reveals the gun tucked into his pants.
So say yes if you know what I mean when I say I have my ways.
Yes.
Oh, good boy. Get lost.
The gang suspect that it's Dee's new boyfriend who stole from them, seeing that he always seems to have money and he's new in town, which coincides with some other bars being robbed. But it turns out it was Charlie who stole from the bar, as he was trying to pay off his rent while pulling an insurance scam.
Wow, dude, that's really just goddamn ridiculous.
So dumb.
I thought it was the best idea I ever had.
No, it's not.
In my opinion, this is a really weak episode, but please don't be discouraged. There's only a few bad apples in this golden 5-star barrel. The gang accidentally left a guy locked up in the bar last night, and when Mac goes to wake him, he smells that the guy soiled himself, and that's because his bowels released when he died. While they clean up the pee and poo, an attractive, heartbroken woman walks into the bar, wishing to see the place where her grandfather died. Mac and Dennis fight over who can pretend they knew him to win her affection.
I knew him too. I would just meant. I thought you meant more.
You didn't know him as well as I did, though.
Oh.
Dee gets sad thinking about her Pop-Pop, who lives in a nursing home with no one visiting him. Her excuse is that she finds old people repulsive because of the smells and the wrinkles and what have you. She convinces Charlie to come along as moral support to stop her freaking out the second she walks in there, but she finds it way too much to handle. Pop-Pop mistakes Charlie for Dennis and makes a final request to be buried in his war uniform. His hatred for Jewish people gives us a pretty good indication what that uniform will be. Looking to maybe get rich from this, Charlie and Mac try to sell the uniform to a museum, which they turn down with disgust.
How much will you give us for it?
Nothing.
Nothing or...
I plan to call the police the minute you guys leave my office.
So instead, they burn his wartime stuff out the back, with Charlie promising that he got rid of it all, except for the hat, which is great to wear while watching cartoons and eating cereal. At the funeral, Dennis gives a speech, making up loads of Good Samaritan stories about what he and the grandfather did together.
We went down there, and not only did we feed every last poor, miserable, precious soul, but we washed the feet of every man, woman, and child there.
While the stuff burns, Dennis brags about beating Mac in winning her affection. So as a last little jab, Mac reveals the truth about Pop Pop.
You must be really proud of yourself. Awesome. Your grandfather's a Nazi.
It's an okay episode, better than the previous, but it won't be anywhere near the top in the long run. I didn't realise until now how focused on Charlie the first season was, with 3 out of the 7 titles having Charlie in the name. In this one, Mac's reading a news article about their old school teacher being accused of being a diddler, causing Charlie to freak out, and the others quickly connect the dots.
Holy shit. Charlie got molested.
From season 2, they do a much better job when cutting to the title card as a punchline to the joke or the premise of the episode.
Are you serious, you guys? I need some help.
Good one. Yeah, God, what is her problem? I don't know.
Instead of cutting it like this, where Dennis says the thing, and then the title card reveals the show's name, and then the episode name, they start cutting it to show the episode name first, which works much better for the comedy. I'll rearrange the cut for this episode to show you what I mean.
What? I gotta go.
Holy shit.
It's awesome to see their craft in the early stages, and how things improved as the episodes went on. Dennis and Dee are trying to flex their education in psychology to analyse what Charlie must be going through. Of course, focusing more on their egos and being smart, rather than solely being about helping Charlie. And then we have Mac, who's envious in thinking that Charlie might have been touched, but he wasn't. His ego being bruised in believing that he might not have been an attractive child. It's so messed up. He even digs out a picture of himself as a kid and really just lays out his insecurities on the table.
Look at this guy, huh? I was cute, I was energetic, I was fun. I mean, what exactly was this prick looking for? If the McPoyles got blown and Charlie got blown, then why didn't I get blown?
You're going to hell, dude.
This is the episode where we meet some classic characters. First up, the McPoyle twins, Liam and Ryan. They live very unusual lifestyles, doing things that no brothers should do, like showering together.
Did you just say we just stepped out of the shower?
I said he.
Right, okay.
I love that their living room looks and sounds like a serial killer's house, but there's nothing sinister about their characters at all. They're just the strangest people imaginable, and they give us some iconic moments of comedy later in the show.
She's still expecting a call.
Okay. That's not gonna happen, so just move past it, all right?
You will call her!
Anyway, Charlie's here because he knows the teacher's innocent, and these two are the ones behind the phony lawsuit. When Charlie threatens to blow the whistle, they remind him that this was actually his idea, that he came up with while drunk.
We should tell the cops that fat dickhead gym teacher we had in junior high molested us and just sue the shit out of him.
Later on, Charlie's given an intervention, where the family want him to reveal what happened using this doll. I'll talk about Charlie's mother later on, because she's an amazing character. But for now, we've got to talk about this amazing character, Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack is the actual diddler of this episode, and his creepy enthusiasm when Charlie's got the doll is extremely disturbing yet funny.
Shall I turn it over?
Yeah, turn her over. Slow.
Kudos to any actor willing to take on this kind of role, because man, it's such a dark person to play. Mac tries seducing the teacher to repair his ego. I can't even really do this. Let's just move on, I don't want to upset YouTube. Charlie resolves the situation by bringing in the McPoyles to the police, under the pretense of being a willing participant in their plan. But then he tells the detective what their plan was, and the McPoyle twins get arrested.
Hey, how'd it go?
Great, I just ratted you out.
Can I see you two boys for a minute, please?
This episode really should sell you on the show, and if it doesn't, I guarantee the next season will. But for now, this episode has to be number 1. Absolute peak of the season.
Try this on for size. Your mother's dead.
The gang are heading out to a strip club in a hurry, because Dennis and Dee's dad is due to show up any minute, and they don't want to talk to him. But as they go to leave, he jump scares them, causing Dennis to run over Charlie. Okay, I guess we can move on to the next scene. Nothing significant to talk about here. Oh, apart from Danny friggin' DeVito. It's so weird to think about this show existing before Danny arrived, playing the legendary character Frank. He's such an integral part of the show that I wonder how successful this show would have been without him. Don't get me wrong, I love pretty much every character in Always Sunny. Everyone has such unique qualities they bring to the table. And even without Frank, I have no doubt this show would have been groundbreaking. But Frank is the sole reason that the gang are able to get into as many schemes as they do, with his vast wealth bankrolling the bar, so the gang can focus on doing all their shenanigans.
I'll be taking care of everybody on the Boggs account. And by the way, do you sell condoms?
No.
Frank's opening dialogue gives us a small taste of his character, breaking the news that their mother has passed.
Try this on for size. Your mother's dead.
What?
No, she's not dead. We're getting divorced, though.
Frank wants to give away all his wealth and spend time with the kids again, but Dennis and Dee aren't okay with him trying to waltz back into their life, especially if he's coming back without his money. Mac and Charlie jump in, hoping he'll use some of his money to give them a good night at the strip club. A couple of dancers take pity on Charlie being in the wheelchair, and the evening of fun begins, giving Frank the time of his life, lifting him out of his divorce depression. Mac convinces Dennis about getting a wheelchair for the female attention, and they strategize their game plan as they roll through a mall. Sweet Dee gets in on the action too, pretending she has polio or something, just to prove how independent she is.
I got it! All by myself, I did it.
Yeah, you did. It's awesome.
The one thing I love about this mall scene is that you can see people in this shop waving at the camera. Kind of a shitty thing to do to a media production, but it's funny to imagine doing this, not knowing you've just become part of a cult classic comedy show. I love the part where they start fighting, and their old school friend, who is actually disabled, converses with Dee about what's going on.
Those two guys are pretending to be disabled and kicking each other's asses.
Oh. What a bunch of scumbags.
Charlie ramps up the effort for attention by dressing up as a Vietnam vet, and is pissed to see that Frank is stepping in on his action.
Girls, no! Say hello to Charlie.
No! 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 No!
After getting drunk with Mac, Dennis drives them back to the strip club, where as chance has it, the rest of the gang are too. Dennis falls asleep at the wheel and crashes into them, crippling the whole gang. The gang are infamous for their collateral damage and their lack of care regarding it, as demonstrated here.
Thank goodness that nobody important got seriously hurt.
What a bunch of assholes.
This isn't an episode I find myself rewatching much, but for the introduction of Frank, it makes the episode stand out a bit more than some of season 1. About 4th place feels fair to me.
We will crush your skull with our weapons!
A Jewish guy walks into the bar, explaining to the gang that the property he just purchased overlaps where their bar is, so he has the right to kick them out and build over it. And there's only one solution to get this guy to back down from his plans. By the way, me mentioning that he's Jewish does have relevance to the plot. The gang gets some legal advice, but the lawyer advises there's nothing they can do within the bounds of the law, and I love the gang's interpretation of this advice.
It doesn't seem as though you guys have any legal recourse.
All right, I think I follow, fellas.
We don't have any legal recourse, right?
With the political issues going on in Israel, the guys want to take action while at the same time not making it look like a hate crime. But when TP in the place doesn't work, Charlie convinces them to go down the darker route of pretending to be terror birds. The plan goes horribly, with Dennis doing a stereotype impression of Arabic. And Mac being dead set on holding a weapon.
I'm gonna get a weapon. I'm gonna get a weapon. Let's go get a weapon, everybody. Everybody get a weapon.
The end product is dreadful, so they ditch this plan in favour of dumping a flaming bag of poop through his window. Charlie keeps hold of the tape just in case they need it later. The divorce situation with Frank is still going on, and he's pissed to see that Barbara is having an affair with the gang's neighbouring Jewish guy, so he steals her dog in revenge. When the guy comes knocking to get the dog back, Frank hilariously doubles down on lying about it.
I don't have the dog.
So you've been in here tearing apart pillows and pooping on the floor?
Yes.
I'm starting to lose patience with you people.
The two end up in a talk about Frank buying the land off him because the value has gone way down after they found a gas leak. But before the gang find out about this deal, they throw the flaming poop bag into the building to send their message.
Gets the message.
I think this is the wrong message.
Yeah.
Frank gives them an ultimatum. Either they let him be part of the gang, or he rats them out to the police. Looks like the gang won't have much of a choice in the matter either way, because the cops found Charlie's tape at the crime scene. A decent episode, not quite enough in my opinion to dethrone the top two, but I have a feeling the next one might just do that.
I'm definitely gonna buy a bunch of crack.
Now we're cooking. This episode is a classic. Dennis and Dee quit being a part of Paddy's pub to go chase their dream jobs. Dee wants to be an actor and Dennis wants to be a veterinarian, but they discover that going on welfare earns them more money than they earned at the bar, so they decide to go on welfare just for a little while. But immediately they fall in love with the lifestyle, giving us this classic moment, which I can't show you because they play the song Just a Friend by Biz Markie. They mock Mac for being upset at them for taking advantage of the system.
Busting my ass in that bar, and you guys are sitting on the stoop getting drunk all day long? With this again? With this again?
Well, no work.
In order to hide his money from his wife, Frank sets up a temporary account in Charlie's name, on the strict instruction that he's not to touch the money, or to tell Mac about it. So you can probably guess what happens next. Before that, Mac and Charlie are looking into hiring cheap labour by taking advantage of a government programme which will give their business tax relief. They get into an ethical debate about using the word slave, but still treat the idea like they're looking for slaves.
You could cheat yourself out of a good slave here, man.
How do you know he's not gonna be a good slave, Charlie?
Come on.
Look, you know what? This is so complicated and confusing.
To celebrate, they want to go out, but Mac despairs at their lack of money. And this is the point where Charlie says, well, I have money. And you know where this goes. Dennis and Dee get rejected on their next welfare claim because Dee does a terrible job at pretending to be disabled.
And she's mentally retarded.
Most definitely. Well...
Their next idea is to get addicted to crack, because drug addicts are more likely to get welfare. But they find out that addiction is no joke, and it wrecks their life.
I'll buy you lots of things. I'm definitely gonna buy a bunch of crack.
There's a great moment where they see Charlie and Mac living large.
Do you have any money? Please?
Oh,
I just need a little bit of money.
Wait, Charlie, driver, we're done here.
Frank becomes aware of Charlie's spending and closes the account, bringing their celebration to a halt. We then get this amazing clip where the gang bicker at each other about their situations in a mocking way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get addicted to crack? Did somebody get addicted to crack? Oh.
Frank sees his new friendship circle is falling apart, so he takes control to put things back the way they were. It's not got the strongest ending, but still, this is an episode I rewatch many times, because the whole gang being this level of scummy, and it ultimately biting them on the arse, is so damn funny. It goes in first place.
That's what you do, Dennis Reynolds. You like to have sex with old people.
Mac goes to Barbara's house to collect Frank's toupee, but when he goes to leave, she drops her gown, ready for that famous Big Mac sauce.
Oh, shit.
Back at Paddy's, Dennis has a plan to get out of doing janitorial jobs and general yucky jobs, referred to as Charlie work, as these were the kind of things Charlie had to do before Frank gave him a promotion. Dennis's plan is to take the waitress out on a date, and he says that he will bang her unless Charlie calls and agrees to take his old work back.
You're not gonna get away with this.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'll get away with it. 10:30, okay?
Dennis doesn't find the waitress attractive at all, which is crazy to me. Charlie Day's a lucky fella. But this does play into Dennis's character, having a crazy high standard due to his ego. Mac confides in Charlie about Barbara's proposition, and he assures him that it's a good idea, because he can share news of this betrayal with Dennis if he agrees to not sleep with the waitress.
Oh my God.
It's a terrible thing for you to see that.
I'm gonna kill him.
No,
I'm gonna kill him.
Wait.
From here, we enter a whole tangled web of people ploughing each other or threatening to plough people in various revenge plots. And I'm way too dumb to map it all out for you, so I'm just going to show you the highlight moments. The first being Dennis getting rejected by both Charlie's mum and Mac's mum because they don't find him attractive at all.
I think you're an ugly man.
You think I'm ugly?
Yeah.
I'm not ugly, you're ugly.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, because Dennis is a 5-star golden god. That reference will make sense later. The climactic moment where the gang all realise what's been going on is fun to watch, but it's also kinda heartbreaking for Charlie, as the waitress got revenge on Dennis by sleeping with Frank. And so we see that Charlie's master plan has failed so miserably that he ended up breaking his own heart, having to listen to the woman he loves, getting emotional about Dennis breaking her heart, with an element of guilt, seeing how traumatised she is.
Because that's what you do, Dennis Reynolds. You like to have sex with old people. And you said that you loved me. You said I love you. You're going to have sex with old people, so that's what I did too.
I don't find myself rewatching this one very much. It's not bad, but it's nothing special.
I am gonna punch a hole through your face.
I really like this one. The gang are walking home from whatever, and this happens when they get held up by a mugger.
Hey, let's just all stay calm.
Nice friends.
The frantic scramble and the forceful way she gets pushed over makes this so shocking yet so funny. Dee begins boxing training to learn to defend herself, just in case it happens again, with Frank offering to train her at his old boxing gym. Dee's story is a parody of the movie $1 Million Baby, a really good movie if you haven't seen it. Frank's old boxing rival is here at the gym too, mocking Frank at his inability to train Dee, like he trains his daughter.
Look at her over there. Look. Oh, amazing. Hey, she's pretty too, huh? Like her old man, huh?
After a few training sessions, Dee catches the attention of a shady steroid seller who convinces her to start juicing up. All this talk of fighting gets the guys interested in underground boxing, thinking that Charlie might be a good contender because he can take a pounding. Charlie's into it, but he's weirded out by their insistence that he takes off his shirt.
That's ridiculous. You can't train and wear a shirt, dude.
Yeah, well, now it's becoming like this whole big thing. It feels a little gay.
It's not gay, Charlie.
He fails his first test, being unable to break a flimsy board with his punch. His next test is the ability to withstand all sorts of things being broken over him and being repeatedly punched. Charlie spots Dee taking steroids and decides to near on down the whole bottle. At the height of their steroid abuse, Charlie is an emotional mess, and his acting here is incredible.
I start thinking, and it makes me so angry. What am I saying?
And the scene only gets better when Dee confronts him about taking her pills.
I am gonna punch a hole through your face.
I'd like to see you try that.
Yeah?
They go outside to fight, but then some guy gets up in their face, and they both turn on him like rabid dogs. They were both due to fight, but they got themselves arrested doing this. Mac steps in for Charlie, and he loses horribly.
He was so fast, you know? Well, you know, we should have moved around a little more and tired him out. Now we have nothing.
And Frank replaces Dee fighting his old rival, where he lands an illegal cheap shot to secure his victory, knocking him into his daughter and breaking her neck. It's a really good parody moment, which actually comes across less goofy than the original. In the alleyway, Mac and Dennis get held up again, with Mac claiming they have no money. But it turns out Dennis does have money, as he bet on Mac losing the fight.
You know what? Stab this son of a bitch.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, come on, Mac. Don't be like that, man. You'd have done the same thing, man.
I wouldn't go as far as to say this is a favourite episode of mine, but so far it's the second best, and a really good quality episode. So the number 2 position feels fair.
I don't know.
The gang are being charged for the arson attack, and their penalty is doing some community service, along with a hefty fine, meaning they can't afford this lunch bill.
Bro, I'm not paying for your mimosas.
I didn't even bring
don't
enough
have
money
enough
for
money. I don't have any money. What are you guys, are you serious?
The cafe they're sitting in is a real cafe, and it's still running to this day, as we can see on Google Maps. Hey, that's not very nice, don't call me a pathetic fanboy. Charlie's given the additional order of attending AA. He's not really into it, but he's willing to come to more sessions, seeing that the waitress is here too. She takes pity on him and wants to be his sponsor. Speaking of which, this video is sponsored by a man. Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. I'm not that desperate for money yet. Although if you do fancy chucking me a quid on Patreon, I'd love you very much. She clarifies that she only wants to support his sobriety. There is nothing romantic happening here. But of course, Charlie treats it like there is.
Are you here to try to have sex with me?
I can't believe you would ask me a question like that in my time of need.
There's a funny moment where she gives him her number, and he responds with,
No shit. I was so close.
showing how deep his obsession goes. For the rest of the gang, their community service is coaching basketball for kids. A good deed which the gang still managed to make about themselves, pitting their teams against each other. Dennis's team has a really funny Asian kid who chooses to wear flip-flops to practice, and he never has an answer for anything.
It's diet.
Oh,
Do I look like I need to be on a diet?
I don't know.
Terrible. Take a lap.
The game ends up being a complete mess, as the gang gave the kid some unsportsmanlike advice, like using elbows and kicking. And Frank paid off the best player to stay at home, so he could rig the odds for his Vietnamese gambling scheme. The end result being the gang being reassigned to litter picking on the highway for their community service. This isn't one I rewatch many times, but I do respect the quality of it, and find myself enjoying many of the jokes.
That's right, rickety crickety legs!
Charlie discovers a water stain in the back office, and Mac believes it to be the spirit of the Virgin Mary. The rest of the gang beg to differ, but Frank sees an opportunity here to make some money.
It could be a miracle. It could be bullshit. There's only one thing we know for sure.
What's that?
It's a goddamn gold mine.
News of the Virgin Mary spreads fast, and their local priest comes to inspect this so-called miracle. His name is Matthew Mara, but the gang remember him from school when he went by the nickname Rickety Cricket, because he used to have to wear leg braces.
Rickety cricket, dude! That's right, rickety crickety legs!
His legs were... His legs were...
They tease Cricket about the mean things they used to do to him in school, like teabagging him. Frank says they should use him to bless the statue, but the only person here who Cricket likes is Dee. Now at this point in the show, Dee does still have some morals, so she's resistant to the idea at first, but eventually agrees after being pressured, asking her to do whatever it takes to persuade him. Turns out he had a massive crush on her in school, but right now he sees her as the evil temptress she is. Mac also turns his back on his values when an old lady asks him to bless her, being the first person to recognise the miracle. This exploitation is supposed to go against his Catholic principles.
This could be my calling, Charlie.
Hey, what happened to all that God's wrath's business and this has to end?
Yeah, no, don't worry about that, dude.
Charlie dives in deep on the act, acting like a cheesy televangelist.
I got the good Lord is going down on me. The good Lord is going down on you? What is that supposed to mean, Charlie?
They bring in some old and mentally deranged priest, who doesn't seem to know where he is or what he's doing, but he's happy to place a blessing on this statue with his urine.
What did you do, you shithead? You ruined it!
No, actually, it's not good.
Cricket comes in last minute to go along with Dee's proposal. To be with her, he had to leave the priesthood, but says that doing so is worthwhile. But then Dee reveals that she doesn't love him. It was just a play to get the blessing, and she's real sorry that she just ruined his life.
Why don't you go back to the priesthood?
I can't, okay? I can't. You can't just go back.
The gang make it up to him by offering him the chance to teabag Dennis in revenge. Dennis is passed out because Dee said he looked fat on TV, causing him to obsess over the comment and starve himself.
I'm the bad person, huh?
A really fun episode, and the introduction to cricket makes me happy. He becomes a fan favourite, for reasons I won't spoil. I believe this episode deserves 4th place on the current chart.
I think we should talk about the breasts.
Oh boy, I really don't care much for this one. Frank explains the amount of money that can be made by being involved in politics. So they put Dennis's name in to run for the position of comptroller, whatever that is. The gang spend most of the episode fighting over the position of campaign manager.
Should I wear a blazer for this?
Yes. No. Yes. No.
Yes.
Charlie, campaign manager, so you don't need a blazer.
When Frank gets pushed out, he comes up with the idea for Dee to be his opponent, and he doles her up so the other candidates are more tempted to offer her a bribe to step down. Or something along those lines. I don't really know. It's so deplorable hearing Frank talk about his daughter like she's a sex object.
The bed look, the toss look, the ruffle look, you look like you just got... Anyway, Daddy hates to say this, but I think we should talk about the breasts.
Anyway, for this one, I don't care to go through the rest of it because it's not very interesting, so I don't think you'd be missing out. It's only slightly better than Gun Fever.
It's a free country, bitch.
The gang have a disagreement over smoking in the bar, sending Charlie into a rage, believing he's the only one staying true to the American spirit. And to prove his patriotism, he goes America all over everyone's arse. What exactly does he mean by this? Well, I'm not even sure he knows, as he doesn't seem to have a defined plan, which does align with Charlie's character, but it doesn't make for a very compelling storyline. The more interesting and humorous storyline is Dennis and Mac turning the bar into an anything-goes establishment, kind of like a new Mardi Gras with fewer laws. But then the McPoyles turn up and ruin everything, ordering pints of milk, being weird and gross as usual, and also Frank's Vietnamese gambling friends are turning off the girls with their creepy vibes.
Maybe it's time we set up some rules.
No, dude, we can't do that. No rules.
Your father is killing our freedom.
I know.
There's a funny moment where the McPoyles want their sister Margaret to flash the goods for a free t-shirt.
Trust me, you're top notch.
God damn it.
That's disgusting.
God damn it. What is wrong with you people? All of you.
And the ending is pretty funny too. I think it's supposed to be a parody of Deer Hunter, but I haven't seen that film to confirm. Well, anyway, the guy losing Russian roulette is enough for them to shut down this madness. It's not a terrible episode, I just wish that Charlie's storyline had more of a structure, or was just a bit funnier. Near the bottom of the list at number 12.
You should see how hard we're getting.
Oh, we are getting so hard. It's like...
Dee's talking with a guy on MySpace who claims to be their real dad.
This guy can't be our dad. That's ridiculous.
Is it any more ridiculous than our dad having brown eyes, black hair, and being 4'10"?
If you know what MySpace is, it's time to get your prostate check booked in. They take Frank out to dinner to break the news, but he worries that the news is about them ploughing each other.
Banging your sister is perverted, Dennis.
I am not banging my sister!
They question Mother on the legitimacy of this guy's claim, and she's just like, yep, I cheated, he's your real daddy. Frank's meltdown is so funny, and I love the way he says the word whore.
Keep your
You
voice down.
whore!
Keep it down.
Jesus, Frank!
Jesus, Jesus, Frank! Jesus, Frank! Jesus, Frank! Jesus, Frank! Jesus, Frank!
Thinking about their long-lost daddies, Mac pays a visit to his one in prison. His name is Luther, and yep, you guessed it, he's another legend in this show.
What do you guys know about smuggling heroin through your anus?
He's an unhinged killer who is massively respected by the other inmates. So when he tells you to smuggle in drugs the next time you come visit, you had better do it. Charlie and Mac feel even more compelled to oblige because they want him to be impressed by how hard they are. But because they're too focused on their own goals, they forget to deliver on his demand. And this dialogue is truly special.
If you could give us some advice on how to handle a certain situation, then we promise we will come back with our butts filled.
Oh, so filled.
So filled for you.
Not only is that a funny line, but it made one of the many blooper reels that fans have come to love almost as much as the actual show.
If you could just give us a little advice on how to handle the situation, I promise we will come back with our butts filled.
Oh, like a Christmas stocking.
Dennis and Dee's new dad is a wealthy philanthropist, but his charitable ways are a bit too much for Dennis and Dee, and he soon picks up on their attitude, feeling that even though they're related by blood, their personalities align more with Frank. Speaking of Frank, he's getting ready for a date with Charlie's mum, which the gang find confusing, because Frank said he's going on a date with a woman he met 30 years ago and had a one-night stand with, and Charlie doesn't know who his dad is, so could it be?
Dad?
And that's how the season ends. Not the strongest episode to end the season on, so I'm gonna blend together the happy and mid-feeling reactions because I don't really care for the new dad scenes, but the rest of it is really enjoyable, with some iconic moments. It belongs somewhere in the middle. I am beyond excited to cover more seasons for you guys. There's a whole bunch of episodes that stay on my rotation of rewatches when I'm in the mood for some feel-good TV. I hope you guys feel that's the kind of content I make for you. It certainly seems that's the case for some of these familiar names on my Patreon and channel members list. Nick B, you've been here for a while now as an executive producer. That means a lot to me. Benny Harvey and Auramus, I see you guys join quite recently, and I thank you for that. More random shoutouts coming in the next video, which should also be a double season coverage. We'll see how it goes.